Nate McMurray, July 6, 2026. How was your 250th anniversary? Tony, how was your 250th? How was it for you?
Nate, I wish I'd have a 250th birthday,
You would look terrible.
but I will not have that.
You
So,
would look like a
uh,
mess. Well, you don't want that, do you?
yeah, no. It was pretty humid. It was a hot summer day, but it was sort of, not too bad. My neighbors were engaged in a lot of illegal activities. It sounded like a war going off
Oh,
in
I
the
see.
place.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I guess that
Did
that's
you
what you get.
watch? Did you watch the Trump thing?
Um, Actually, I started
It was like
to
3 in the
watch it.
morning, wasn't it?
I started to watch it and said, I'm done. I have to get to bed. And
Yeah.
uh and I did, but I did miss the fireworks. I saw a couple of clips of it. As a matter of fact, what I was watching was the Boston Harbor, and they had fireworks there, which was interesting. They also have one of the kids lives in Boston, and they have it's I forget what they call it, but it's like a tall ships type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I have to tell you, this is just fantastic what they've got. But the interesting part of it is they charge an admission in order to do this. So I think it's if you just want to be able to sit in the grandstands and use a porta potty, I think it's something like I don't know, $250 to be able to do that. And then if you want to be able to have like a restroom inside and maybe just some sort of a lunch thing, I think it ends up being like 375. So they're really cashing in on it. But when you look at the ships that they've got, honest to God, it's a once in a lifetime look at some of these things. They're really magnificent. So we don't have that here, but in Boston they do. And their fireworks display wasn't bad, but the stuff they had in DC, that was nuts.
Well,
It
that was
was.
like listen, I don't know, man. It, it doesn't ever translate well on TV, does it?
Mm-mm. You're getting. I think in um, in Boston they had because I think it was in the Charles River, and they had I think 5 barges shooting off these shells. Well, in DC, I don't know. They had probably 8 barges shooting off multiple streams simultaneously. And Nate, this went on for 40 minutes. I don't know what that display cost, but and the air quality uh, was really horrendous from all that gunpowder. Apparently, yesterday, July 5th, DC had the worst air quality on the planet. So worse than India, anywhere else, just from that
DC.
fireworks display. Yeah.
Jeez, that's nuts. No, that's crazy. All right, so listen, I was at the Canadian side of the falls, and I was.
Mhm.
You're like, well, how come you went to Canada? Because you can see all the American fireworks. And
Right.
listen, it's kind of cool because you can see them. You can see Hyde Park. You can see Lewiston. I think you can see. Yeah, we definitely could see Fort Erie. You could see it all, and then you see the falls are lit up red, white, and blue, which is cool too. And it's kind of like a tradition. I've been doing it for like a decade, at least a
Have you
decade.
ever been on a plane on Independence Day, flying into town and seeing the fireworks? I had that happen, and it's really sort of a cool thing to see. Uh, I also wonder if you put drones on the periphery of these things and just videotaped what it would look like during a fireworks display.
It'd
I
be
wonder how
amazing.
cool that would look. Yeah.
I remember being in Germany during 4th of July and seeing fireworks from all the army bases. And I was like, wow, there are that many army bases because you could see them all over the horizon.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the facts. Okay, what's going on in the world? So let's begin. I want to talk about there's a lot of talk this week about the European Union versus the United States economy. And I'm going to play a quick clip talking about how the average GDP per person in Alabama is higher than France. All right, and then but why do people in France seem to have better lifestyles and higher happiness rates and longer um, um,
Well, life
Lifespans.
expectancy.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
listen to this.
The chateau and wine country, the village squares that look like they were art directed for an Emily in Paris episode. Living in France is the upscale American daydream. I occasionally like to imagine myself there at a charming cafe, eating cheese or steak frite and drinking wine and taking in the glorious street scene. It's a little harder to imagine is looking around me and thinking, yeah, this place is definitely poorer than Mississippi. But when you look at GDP statistics, that's actually what they seem to say. In 2024, France's GDP per person was $46,103, while Mississippi's was $55,876. But can that really be true? The first thing we have to ask is just what exactly are we comparing? Europeans generally work a lot fewer hours than Americans, and leisure, free time, it's a kind of consumption. You are deciding, look, I could work another 4 hours at the office and maybe I'd make more money. Do I want to spend more hours at the office to maybe make a little bit more money, or do I want to go home and see my kids?
All right. So basically, it's getting to the whole thing. They have a better lifestyle. They work less. So the question is, it's an age-old question, right? They have health insurance. Which is a better model? Because you sent me that thing the other day, which I posted online and got mixed reactions to, that we have, 300 million millionaires, and the next closest country is China with like 50 or whatever the stat was. So give me your analysis of this. I want to get your take. And I have my thoughts too. So go ahead.
Yeah, I did. That was a little misleading, only because it didn't look at things on a per capita basis. In other words, when we look at the United States population, which I think is about 340 million people, divided by the number of millionaires, which I think was, I don't know, 23,600, something like that. It ended up being about 7% of the population. Surprisingly, on a per capita basis, the Netherlands was the only country that came close to that. And as you know, the Dutch have been traders for centuries, and has been a relatively wealthy country. But what I would say, the way I would characterize this is, the United States is more concerned with the destination, and I think the EU is more concerned with the journey. And by that, what I mean is that the EU has a stronger safety net than the United States does. They have more liberal policies vis-a-vis vacations. And as you mentioned, they do have healthcare, which is a sort of a struggle for us in this country. So,
So what's your take?
I mean, my
That's a
take
lot of
is,
facts. What's the take? Sorry.
yeah, my take is, I think people in the EU may enjoy, and they do have higher taxes than us, but I think they do enjoy perhaps a better quality of life than
We
many
we
people
we
in the
have
United
hu-
States
we have
do,
huge houses in general compared to Europe.
right?
Huge cars.
Mhm.
Uh,
Behemoths, actually.
listen. This is the number one factor. There should be one factor: happiness. Are people happier in the United States than Denmark?
I think the
Or
top 10% are.
yeah, well, the top 5% maybe are.
Yeah.
I think the answer is no. Well, we know the answer is no, according to every single measure that those places are happier than we are, which doesn't mean, oh, they're better. It makes me mad, okay? You have two ways to look at this: blind obedience, blind faith to the system, or say, hey, how can we make things better? I'm not saying we should completely copy whatever Scandinavia is doing, but like, should we copy some of it? I remember when I was running for office the first time, this consultant said, if you ever say anything good about Scandinavia again, we're pro-America. That's the campaign messaging. I'm like, I'm going to talk facts, man. Like, if people have healthcare and they're happy, maybe we should learn from it. And I just think it's really childish to say we can't learn from systems that are, creating longer lives that are happier. Isn't that the whole purpose of government anyway? Why did we start this experiment of living together in instead of living in tribes wandering? Because we thought, hey, we can make things safer and better if we're together. But if it's not happening, maybe we have to think about our system and whether it's actually providing what we're asking it to provide.
Well, I get a sense, Nate, that there are a lot of people out there who say that any criticism, whether it's constructive or not, is viewed as a personal slight against them and a personal slight against America. And, if we went back to the founding of the country, Um, I don't think a whole heck of a lot of us would be supporting slavery today. And
I mean, yeah, that's
that
the
had to
point.
change.
Things change, right? Or they
They
supposedly.
do, they do. And as a matter of fact, I would say the dynamism of America is the fact that it's continuously changing. And it's just really disconcerting when you hear the Vice President of the United States saying that America is fundamentally a Christian nation. It is not. And if I were a Jew or a Muslim or a Hindu or whatever else, I would say, well, America is my country too. And, one of the big founding principles of this country was that there was going to be religious freedom, not that there was going to be a preferred religion in this country. And I just think so many people have gotten away from that. And what's unfortunate, where the administration is politicized the 250th anniversary and used it as a Trump, another Trump rally, and has used it as a way to, try to impact the midterm elections. It was a wonderful opportunity to examine
I
where we
listen. I don't
were.
understand what he was saying. Half of it. It was so boring. The guy is so boring at this point. Is
But
any
these anniversaries are an opportunity for us to reflect on how far we've come and yet what we still have to fix. And none of that happened. It was the same old baloney we've heard for 10 years.
was
It
so
was just
boring. So
unfortunate.
boring. No one was excited watching it. The thing was half full, right?
Yeah.
There was
Well,
like
to be fair, there were storms there,
What
and there was
started out
tremendous
as
heat,
just
and they did clear them all just because they didn't want people to get electrocuted
yeah,
from the
but there
storms.
was it was a weird thing. It was rainy, and the guys stayed
Well,
kept everybody there late, and
the
just so he
state
could.
fair thing was a weird was
The
a
whole
was a
thing
weird
was
deal.
weird. The whole it was just not
Yeah.
there. It was. By the way, it didn't look like a state fair. I think it's like, has these people ever been to a state fair before?
Well, Nate, as you know, the planning is not one of the hallmarks of this administration, and I am about halfway through Jonathan Swan and Maggie Haberman's book, Regime Change,
Yeah,
the
it's
Imperial
quite a long
Presidency.
book.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know, about 450 pages, and
Yeah, I
then you get
mean,
into,
a lot of it is like minuscule detail. I'm starting to get bored by it. No offense to them, but
well, it's hard for me to get bored. What I will say is that it's sort of like a fly on the wall in so many of these meetings. And this is, I guess you would call this the improvisational presidency. They bring in Laura Loomer, just because she's a bomb thrower on social media.
right.
And Trump says, well, I just don't think I want her to come in. So she comes in, she gets her hair done, her nails done, she buys a new outfit. She goes into the Oval Office and they've got all these like big guns in there, in addition to her. Well, she goes to Kinko's and has some of her propaganda bound. And then she starts hitting on our national security people. And her point is if they were put in by a prior administration and they are highly qualified, they hate you and they need to be gone. Trump doesn't even say, well, let me go to someone else and see, can we vet this? He right away believes everything
Well,
she says,
what is
and tells them to all get fired.
yeah, the first time Trump was in office, it was kind of like this thing where he was like, let's just hire the best people, right? So they hired these people, some of them quite capable, and they were like, "Hey, you're crazy. Stop. Chill out. Don't do that." And he hated it. So the second time he gets in, he's like, "I'm just going to hire whoever, anybody, any lackey who's going to do whatever I say." And now we have chaos. And now
Well,
I want to move over to the World Cup thing. All
okay,
right. So he calls the head of FIFA, who gave him the FIFA Peace Prize, whatever that is,
right. It was a golden soccer ball
and then an unprecedented,
and a medal too.
unprecedented. He gets
Right.
this red card reversed. Now, never mind the fact that the red card probably shouldn't have happened. That's how
Why don't you explain the red card for people?
basically, if you do something violent or inappropriate, they kick you out of the game and they kick you out of the next game.
So they got a green card, a yellow card, and a red card, right?
Right.
Red card's the most severe
It's severe.
punishment.
So they
Yeah.
kick the guy out, and it
Mhm.
probably was uncalled for, right? But that's how sports is, right?
Mhm.
There's always some, unfortunate call you
The
got to deal
refs,
with.
right?
And sometimes the refs do steal a game by accident or on purpose, whatever. It's part of sports. It's
Mhm.
in the end, it's a game, right? So why is the president getting involved in a game? Like, it's crazy. It's never happened before. He reverses. They've never reversed a red card since like the 60s or something. So they reverse the red card. The whole world, by the way, I'm going to play this clip. The whole world is outraged by this. Outraged, all right? Because they're like, everyone knows FIFA is corrupt. But to do this for the host country, under pressure from the president of that country, and by the way, President Trump, why aren't you putting pressure on prescription drug prices or something to actually help people that live here? So listen to this.
Has quickly spiraled into outrage and claims from high-profile football names that the integrity of the game is in question. The incident at the centre of this involves USA striker Folarin Balogun. A red card automatically comes with a one-match ban. That ban, though, has now been suspended for a year, meaning Balogun can play against Belgium.
So Balogun is an incredible athlete, and he's also a birthright citizen. His parents came here and he was born here. So if the Supreme Court case had not happened last week to recognize birthright citizenship, would we be kicking him out right now? Would he not be a citizen to play for the United States? This tells you how ridiculous the Trump administration is. They're sticking their neck out for somebody they wanted to kick out of the country a week ago.
Exactly.
It's
and it makes,
insane.
of course, complete sense. Like I said, this is an improvisational presidency. There is a great level of incoherence because there are no policies. It's just whatever I think at any given point in time, that's the policy. I mean, the tariff thing in this book, it was unbelievable. Trump just throws numbers out. There is no analysis behind anything. His Treasury Secretary, other people end up having to try and justify this. It's the craziest thing. And then the day before the tariffs are going to be rolled out that impact the global economy, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'll just put something out. So they do this. And what was most frightening to economists and observers was the level of risk that President Trump was willing to take to almost tank the global economy. He went right up to the edge before pulling back on this 90-day delay. And I think that should concern a lot of people, that you've got such a risk taker who says, I can do whatever I want, and no one's gonna stand in my way.
It's wild. Next clip. This is the Interior Secretary saying that somebody gouged up this is a reflecting pool, and it was vandalism. And the place is surrounded by cameras. By the way, there's cameras in every inch of it. And if there was evidence that somebody took a box cutter to industrial covering and ripped it off, I think we'd have some video of it. It's completely like fantasy. It's beyond the laugh test. Maybe somebody did sabotage part of it, but to think that all of this coverage came off. And by the way, I know people who've worked with this kind of stuff before. They spray this stuff on, and it often comes up. It's not unusual for it to have to be done multiple times. But instead, we're force-fed this fantasy that there's some secret Antifa plot to destroy that was successfully destroyed the reflecting pool. So let me just play the clip. It's laughable.
Cost the damage. The president has repeatedly claimed that vandals cut a 350-foot gash in the pool. That's a claim that's echoed in a legal filing by your department. What specific evidence do you have to back up that claim?
Well, we have the actual cuts that were made into the industrial liner, and that's been measured out. So that's just a fact that's what we've got to go back and repair.
There's a 350-foot gash?
Well, it's multiple gashes that add up to 350 feet across.
It's laughable. So tell me, Tony, why haven't they come? They show video of everything. Why haven't they come forward with the evidence?
Well, Nate, a simple reason: there is no evidence. And for so many of these things that claims are made, we keep asking for the evidence. They keep throwing resources at Georgia to prove that the election was thrown there. The only proof that we have is a recording from the Secretary of State, which showed Trump fishing for, I think it was 11,280 votes, one more than we need to say that we won the state. So again, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's distractions. And to your point, uh, we're making zero progress on more affordable childcare. We're making zero progress on affordability, which is really an issue for people. The level of debt that Americans are carrying continues to escalate, in part because they're just trying to make ends meet
So this
to
is the thing.
survive.
This is
So
the
it's
thing.
it's tough.
I'm not someone who wants to seize private property. The communism scare by the president. He's constantly saying communists, communists. What's a bigger threat to America? The fact that several corporations control like 98% of the assets and can control prices, and that the president is interfering with the free market all the time on behalf of his friends and family and enriching himself. What's the worst? That or the fact that communists are taking over the country? I mean, is there any evidence that communists are taking over the country, Tony?
No, but I mean, you remember Joe McCarthy? He was a senator, right?
Yeah, it's a great way to scare people. And guess who worked for Joe McCarthy?
Yeah, it was the Red Scare.
It was
Yep.
Cohn, the Trump's lawyer.
Roy Cohn,
Yeah.
right? And he was the guy who showed him, how to do these things. And I mean, it's really based on Marxism. Honest to God, I have to tell you, Nate, I am so dismayed with the caliber of the media people we have. And I would why can't one of them ask the president, would you please define for us what communism is? Because a lot of people don't know. This is a teachable moment. Explain to us what it is. What's it based on?
It
You
just
know?
means bad guys that want to hurt America. But
Well,
meanwhile, we're living in a society. Any increment towards helping working people, raising the minimum wage, making
so let
it.
me ask you, all right, let me ask you this.
They call
Communism,
communism.
right?
Communism what?
Communism, right? This is when all property, is publicly owned,
And
private ownership.
communally owned, yes.
Right, right,
Right.
right. So let's see. When the United States is making investments in these different corporations, right? It doesn't seem like it's privately owned. It seems like that act is moving toward communism
Well,
rather
okay,
than
there are
capitalism.
things that certain members of the Democratic Socialists say that I don't like. Like,
Mhm.
I don't believe we should empty the prisons, like stuff like
Yeah.
that. That's insane, right? But to say that everyone who says, well, we should have some sort of socialistic policy, or that we should think about regular people, is a communist, is obviously false and insane. It's a way to scare people, it's a way to stop conversation, and it's a way to avoid any type of reasonable economy that helps working people.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's another term, is command economy, where the government centrally plans everything. I mean, that is what you have in
Fascism in
Russia. That is
China.
what you have in
Yeah,
China, right?
yeah.
That is not what we have in the United States. You know, the
If
the, the
anybody's
government,
inching our way towards communism, it's Trump by seizing control of companies like Nvidia and Intel. I mean, this
that,
this is the closest thing to communism we have in our country.
well, that's exactly the point. I mean, we don't really have a capitalist, and then we get into well, instead of working on making your life better, I'm developing these corporations which sell meme coins, which are going to make me a fortune, and you poor saps that believe in me and think that I'm going to give you a better quality of life, or that you are going to get wealthy like me. Nah. I mean, it's just been a horrific loser. I mean, the Trump meme coin that's come out, it's down, I think, about 97%. It came out at 75 bucks a share, or a coin. Now it's like $1.75.
Of
And
course it is. What is it? You know what I mean?
well,
Like,
that's a
what
great
is it?
question. What is it's just something I put out. Here's the interesting thing. Trump invested not a nickel in this, not one nickel. They just decided to form a corporation. They decided to say, we're going to put out coins, $ Trump. That's what it's going to be. And you should buy it. Well, people bought it. And, again, they're going against these bots and other insiders. And most people, 84% of the people who invested in it lost money to the tune of $3.8 billion. And that's not coming from the cognoscenti in this country. This is coming from the poor people who've decided to, invest in this stuff.
I found this Nick Fuentes. I know he's a horrible person,
Yeah.
but he is a hilarious communicator. It makes him, and he's turned on Trump. And listen to this thing about him and meme coin.
First, you have the Trump coin scam, which is just, I don't know how he got away with that. How is that even possible? The president rug pulled, the sitting president of the United States rug pulled his fans and supporters. Have you ever heard of such a thing? He created a digital asset, completely unregulated, this Trump meme coin, and told everybody to buy it. He said it's going to be the basis of the financial system, and this is an investment, all this kind of stuff. Everybody bought it. And then people that he told about it in advance sold all their coins to his fans who were buying in, and they rug pulled it. Trump and his cronies used his voters and supporters as exit liquidity after he won the presidential election.
He's basically saying it's a Ponzi scheme, but worse. It's worse than Bernie Madoff. It's more money. What he's doing is, hey, buy this coin that we know is useless, and as soon as you buy it, we're going to buy it first, and then we're going to sell it to you, and then it's going to have no value. It's called a rug pull. It's a complete scam. I can't believe he's gotten away with it. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's really a legalized scam. And again, what his talent is, Donald Trump, is he looks for the seams in society, seams in the legal structures, and tries to exploit them to the extent that he can. And, you're 80 years old, you're a billionaire already. Nathan, what is the utility of even more money?
None of these guys think they're going to die. They don't really they don't think they're going to die.
I mean, what is the point of the money? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, that's my point about all of this. You're going to die anyway. If you buy a giant house in Tampa or in Clarence and you don't pay taxes and you let the people die around you because we don't have health care, you're still going to die. I mean, does having another car or a boat really change your lifestyle that much? I think it's just because we're primates and we are driven by comparison. As the Buddha said, all envy comes from comparison. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a good life and you shouldn't be fighting for things for your family, but at a certain point, oh my gosh. Speaking of that, I want to talk about the utility. I made a video this week. I'm going to play a little bit of it.
Ooh.
New York State Power Authority. This place creates 25% of New York State's power, enough to power 2 million homes. So your question is, why is your electricity so expensive? Well, let me tell you. No, I talk about we have the 25% of New York State's electrical power creation is in our backyard. Green energy, clean green energy. 2 million homes are powered by that or could be powered by that. So why are our utility rates so high locally? And the answer is because we sell that electricity to a private company, National Grid or NYSEG. And National Grid is British owned, and we pay for their grid and grid upgrades on your bill. That's what you see, those transition charges and all that. It's all paying for the grid upgrades.
Transmission, right.
And they make billions of dollars. It's not a non-for-profit, and they can raise prices as they see fit, pretty much. I mean, there's some limits, there's some regulation on it, but they control the system. And I don't understand why no one in our region is saying, hey, we should have some benefit for the people that live here where the green energy is created. Does that make sense to you? And by the way, we used to have that benefit before Robert Moses created this huge system that took it away from us. So talk about that for a second, Tony.
Well, we do have a public service commission, which is supposed to, look at proposed utility rates increases and determine whether they are justified based on the amount of investment that the utility has to make in the community.
But obviously they're not doing a good job, because if this place is making billions of dollars and the CEO makes millions of dollars and people cannot pay their electrical bills, that's crazy.
Well, we do have a governor's race this year, right?
We do.
Governorship is up for election in November, and why are you why are you the only guy who is bringing up the point that we have fairly high, per kilowatt hour electricity rates when we've got
I
Niagara
don't know.
Falls
I
right
got
in
to
our
say this to you.
backyard?
The person I'm running against, I don't even want to say their name because it's not worth it.
Don't.
I'm not going to.
Don't.
They're desperate for me to do it. The person I'm running against is
My opponent. My opponent.
My opponent
There you go.
is been in office for a decade. She was in office for a decade. Was the head of the legislature. So basically the kind of the equivalent of Mark Poloncarz in Erie County. And
Niagara
County. Yeah.
legislature. Right, yeah.
$500 million budget. The most important politician in the region. And I can tell you probably 99 out of 100 people who live here can't name this person. And believe they have no responsibility for what's the condition of Niagara County is, or any of these things I'm talking about on a daily basis. And now wants to be the assembly person that represents the whole area. And basically, I guess you just get appointed because you know somebody. Because, what's the record to run on? It's just crazy to me that you said this, like, you're the only one talking about it. Yeah, I am the only one talking about it. And we have people that have had power for a long time, including the person I'm running against, and don't do anything with that power. It's mind-numbing, Tony.
Well, Nate, why don't we just talk about value? You can buy anything, right? And the question is, I don't really care about the price as long as I feel I'm receiving a fair value for whatever I'm buying, right?
Right.
So, we've got these politicians, we elect them locally, and the question nobody asks, is, are we getting value for our vote?
What's the point of the vote? Like, I just don't know. I really don't. Good point. Like, why are we doing this? Why did this person deserve the support after a decade?
Now here you have a president who says, I am not going to get into any additional wars. And the guy's gone into about, eight military interventions.
Right.
He says, I'm going to make everything affordable. Hasn't happened. I'm going to end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. Hasn't happened. And I don't understand why you elected them to do something. That's why they have these promises and you don't hold them to it. I think that's a real problem with Americans. When you go to our local economy, we're saying, look, it's not great.
And this is not a partisan issue either, by the way.
No. But the economy is not great in upstate. We need better ideas.
And who runs upstate?
Tesla plant here.
Who runs the majority of counties in upstate New York?
The Republicans.
Party. But all we ever hear about is the problem are the Democrats. I hate to break it to people. The whole world wants to go to New York City. The whole world. If you go to the Hudson Valley, it's like some of these towns are like heaven. I don't know, but like if I go to parts of rural New York, places I love, it's not good. It's not good. And you've had Republican town boards for how long? You've had Republican county legislatures for how long? You can blame the Democrats in the city of Buffalo all you want or whatever else. But like, if you have the same town board forever and things aren't getting better in your town, why don't you change it? Or the same county ledge? Listen, Tony, I got to go. I want to make sure I'm okay physically. Let's not get into the details, but I want to make sure I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm with you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon, man, okay?
All right, take care.
Bye-bye.